Good evening, good morning, good night, everyone. Welcome in, welcome in. I'm live. Okay, I'm live everywhere. Just making sure I'm live everywhere. All right, welcome in, everybody. Yes, yes, yes. I made it. Y'all, I made it. It has been a challenge today, but I have made it in. Just waiting to see if anybody's still up. I know y'all was waiting for me at 8 o'clock. I was traveling today and just had some delays and had a lot of stuff going on today. Oh my gosh. So we are, I'm welcoming you all in to video cliff notes for the everyday entrepreneur. Welcome in, welcome in. Stop by. As I am reading a book called The One Thing by Gary Keeler, and I am just sharing my takeaways from the book because so many people get stuck in life and in their business and they don't know the next step to go or to move forward, right? And so the thing is always about personal development, and sometimes we just don't have time to pick up a book, or we don't make the time. Let me put it like that. We don't always figure out how to make the time just to pick up the book, to figure out those things or help us work through those things that we need to be able to keep moving forward. So I said, you know what? Let me share my takeaways. We're going to do video cliff notes. So guess what? I'm going to read a book. Y'all don't got to read a book. I'm going to read a book for all of us, right? And so you all going to come in and participate, as I share, the journey really. So welcome in. Is it Jeffrey? Welcome in. Right now I am going live. TikTok. I'm going live on Instagram, on YouTube, on my Facebook group, as well as where else am I going live? Um, I forgot YouTube. Did I say YouTube? YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Oh, LinkedIn. I forgot LinkedIn too. So hello to all my friends and family and all over the world, right? Welcome in. So yes, welcome to video cliff notes for the everyday entrepreneur. Let me get in here because, like I told you, I don't like to keep y'all long. As you see, I'm a little bit delayed. I try to do this at 8 p.m. Eastern time, but I'm coming to you all a little bit late. But you know what? I said I committed myself to do this, and so I have to do it. So no matter what time it was, if it was 11:59, y'all, I'm gonna show up. That's one thing. Anybody who knows me knows I'm gonna show up. If I say I'm gonna be there, I'm gonna show up, right? And so that's what it matters the most. So welcome in. Thank you for joining me. What is this? Brown Sugar? Thank you for coming in. Thank you for stopping by. So I'm just gonna share. So today I'm covering chapter 7 and chapter 8 in The One Thing. The One Thing is a book by Gary Keeler, and they actually have a website. It's the actual number one thing.com. So you can actually go and actually look at the resources that they have there. So, as far as today, so today's lesson, of course, it's all about, like I said, moving forward. So, it's all about sometimes how we have to move away from failure, right? Even today, yesterday, I had a conversation with an amazing woman, right? She has a big following, on social media, but she technically hasn't really launched. She has products and services, but she just kind of sells them without really going live and selling her products and services online. And so I was like, "Well, what's going on?" And she's like, "I need to get." She's like, "I have a fear of failure." And I was like, well, I said, you shouldn't, because I said, you're an amazing person. You have everything that you need. And so only thing is that now we need to just move forward, right? You need just those strategies, those tips, those tools, and those resources to really just position you for success. And that's really what it's about. We're not going to talk about failure. We're going to talk about success, right? Positioning ourselves for success. And so chapter 7, it kind of went over like personal strength and specifically willpower. And I was like, how many of us we like, I have the willpower to do this, but it still don't seem like it's getting done. And it may be just that maybe we have sometimes the a different idea or approach to that willpower. And oh, my TikTok kicked me off. So I mean, I'm sorry, not TikTok. My Instagram kicked me off. So I'm not sure what happened to my people. If you all can, I'm trying to get back on there. But if not, you can join me on TikTok. You can join me on YouTube, on Facebook. So welcome in, welcome in. So yes, we're talking about just getting unstuck, right? And like they said, willpower is isn't really on will call. And I was like, what does that mean? Right? It's like we can't truly just say, even though we might have willpower, we can't really like just say, we can't just say, like, okay, I'm going to activate my willpower right now because it is so many different levels to it. And I didn't think about that. You know, right now it's like late at night and you might say, oh, I have something to get done. Or you might be in school and you're like, oh, I got a paper to write. Well, the thing is that if you don't have enough of that energy to put towards to activate the power to have the will, how you gonna get it done? So that was the biggest thing. It was like, you might have that willpower, but you may not have enough in you at that moment to activate it. So willpower is more like our phones, right? Our cell phones. If we of course, if we don't charge them up, they die, right? We can't use them. And that's how our willpower is. And the things that we need to actually just keep going, in life is that we have to be able to execute at the time, even that it's at maximum power. So, where our willpower is concerned with that too is like, for instance, when you first maybe get up, like, I won't say I'm a morning person, but I've been learning how to shift my energy, I'll say, in my time to be more effective in the morning when I'm fresh. And so that is a time where I probably could be able to execute more things, right? More efficiently too. Yesterday we were talking about focus. And so it's like to be able to execute something even more efficiently, even with that focus, you have to have that like you have to be fresh. You got to have rest and you have to sleep. And so that's kind of what they were talking about. It's like it's a part of willpower is a part of somewhat of discipline, not 100% discipline, but it is about figuring out now how to activate that power. And there's a how can your will get its way? I was like, oh, that's kind of cute. How can your will get its way? And so it's all about two timing. So it says willpower isn't on will call. And some people think it is, right? That it's always accessible, and it's not. And so there was a research that was done. They used it was a Stanford University. They did a research on 4-year-olds, y'all. 4-year old little kids. They did a research on. And so what they did was they actually tormented them. Like their parents actually agreed to do this. Y'all go figure out why they did that. But hey, I guess research has to happen. I'm sure there was some incentive, right? Hey, take my 4-year-old for X amount of time. Y'all can do whatever y'all want. I get a break. Okay, cool. But anyway, so they gave them they had 4-year-olds there, and will you tell friend Lonnie, listen, you need to activate your willpower. You need to activate your willpower and tell Lonnie to leave you alone. So and pay attention. All right, beanbags. All right. So the 4-year-olds had been tormented, and they what they were the biggest task was they were given a choice of a pretzel, a cookie, or a marshmallow, right? And they put it in front of them, and of course the person whoever they were working with, they were like, okay, they told the child, I'm going to walk away for 4 minutes. They said, while I'm gone, don't eat it. If you don't eat it when I come back, you'll get 2 of them. Okay, so of course most of the kids, it didn't work. They walked away. They ate it, right? But they said at least 3 out of 10 of those children were able to restrain, right? The other ones were like, oh my God, they tried everything that they could do to not eat the little treats, right? They covered their eyes. Some of them pulled their hair. They did everything that they could do to be able to not eat those treats while the person was gone, but it didn't work. But the 3 children out of 10, they were able to do it, and they were like, So they followed back up with the same group of children several years later, and they found out though that those same 3 out of the 10 children, that group of children, were doing better academically and personally, right, in their lives. And so that was very significant, right? And so that means that to be able to restrain something, and have that kind of focus, because what it was a delayed, right? Delayed gratification. That's really what it was. Delayed gratification. See, so we're so used to, especially now, microwave everything, right? Ever since the microwave came out, we want everything really, really fast. But sometimes our success is built over time, right? Is of course, yeah, we see these stories. We think that they may have happened instantly, right? But it's not. It's things that have been set in motion over time that now just we're able to be able to blossom. And so we have to get away from that mentality that everything's going to happen instantly, or when we don't see immediate progress that we give up. And we see that every day, especially even with dieting. I mean, I've been in dieting for a long time. And you try it, you're like, oh my God. You think, even though it's like it took you all this time to carry, weight or get out of shape or whatever it is, well, it's going to take you time to unpack all of that too, you know? And so we get frustrated though. You work out, sweated. Oh my God, ran, ate good, left all your favorite little treats alone, and you did everything that you could do. But then you don't see the big number, and you look at the number, you be like, oh, I did all of that and I only lost 2 or 3 pounds. What is 2 or 3 pounds that you didn't do before? And see, that's where we have to learn how to celebrate, right? Celebrate the success, especially of the little things that we do, right? And be proud of those things, because that's what gives us the momentum to keep moving forward. So yeah, so they did the study, and so yeah, the treat, we've learned 3 out of the 10 were able to be have the delayed gratification for the food or for the treat, and they got the 2 treats, right? And so we talked about also delaying, it's a part of that delay strategy. So we have to be able to create that within our lives too, and have that type of I'll say activation, to be able to activate the power in our will to be able to now fulfill the things we need to fulfill at the maximum time, so we can have the gratification sometimes, even if it is a delayed gratification. I hope that all makes sense, right? So how to do that? Now you're like, okay, well, all right, you said all that and it sounds a little complex. Well, how do you do that? Well, a part of that is feeding our minds. They always say, you are what you eat. And so literally what they realized is that through another study that they did, scientifically, they found out like with complex carbs and protein actually were beneficial to a lot of people to be able to get things done, right? So though even our what we're consuming is a part too of our food for thought. And I was like, I'll be darned, even right now I'm doing a program through Keto Fine AF. If you all want to look them up, they're on Instagram. Keto Fine AF with Coach Diunique. And I've been doing keto. And so I see the difference when I'm not eating sugar. I can literally think better. Seriously. Like my mind is clear. I can get more done in a smaller amount of time versus before, where I was really unfocused. even just overall body health, joint pains and stuff like that by getting rid of the sugar. And so I was like, okay, well, I can agree that makes sense. So you are what you eat, and we have to also know how to feed our minds. So that's why you're here today, right? You're here today, video cliff notes for the everyday entrepreneur, because it's about also feeding our minds so we can continue to grow, right? And so another oh, they told this other story, and I was like, this is a little scary, y'all, to think about this, that people who make the decisions for us also go through this, right? And they used a scenario of a group of people on a parole board, and about how many of the what is it, the documents that come through, the parole documents to be able to release people out of jail. And they were saying that at the beginning of the day, people were thinking clearly, they were able to really cognitively like look at the documents or read through, what maybe they had supporting documents and why they should be able to get out of jail, right, or prison. And they said, towards the end of the day, they got tired. And so they were just like, no, they would go into their default, whatever your default action is, or what you would normally do if you don't have all the information. So because they were extending their time, that battery, remember we talked about the cell phone battery. So their battery was being depleted, right? So mentally they couldn't keep up, and they didn't have the willpower to keep up. So people were being denied all because that person couldn't mentally even think about their choices, right? Not that they weren't qualified to get out. And so when we look at that, we're like, oh my gosh, so we even have to think about how we are treating our minds and our bodies, because now it's affecting other people. And so that kind of was like, that was like, I don't know if that hit y'all the same way, but that hit me like completely different. And I was like, wow, okay, who am I standing up for? Even in my everyday life and in my business, am I, I was thinking back, how like when if you're ever been in a supervisor position or a management position, and maybe you were already frustrated because of things or tasks that you had to complete, and a customer walked in, it might not have been a big deal or whatever they were complaining about, but it ended up blowing up out of proportion because you were just exhausted and you was like, I can't take it no more. And think about sometimes when we encounter people also like that, we take it personal because of how they treat us, but it's because you don't know what they've been through throughout the day, right? You don't know how far they've been stretched, out of their comfort zone, not even comfort zone, but just out of the complexity, I guess, of their everyday life, personally and professionally, that causes them to make these decisions. So that was something that just kind of just like was a big enlightening moment to kind of think about how that really works. So we have to be able to monitor our fuel tank for our mind and our body and our soul, because all of that affects how we react, or even throughout the will of having to do certain things in life, right? So that was the pretty much the wrap up of chapter 7. And chapter 8 was talking about balance, y'all. And we always like, oh, I want a balanced life. But I was like, do we really want a balanced life? Because they said, so balance is not necessarily 100% what we think it is. When we think of balance, we're like, oh, it's just the time where we're going to relax because everything is just equally good. But it was like, when you really think about what constitutes something to be balanced. So if you look at holding up, think about if you had two buckets of water, in your hand, and you had to keep them equal. Think about the strength that you would need in your hands, y'all. The strength you would need in your hands to keep it balanced, right? That water gonna get heavy at times, and a lot of times, sometimes you're gonna have to lean one way. Y'all gonna, lean. You're gonna lean it out. You have to lean a little bit to kind of keep yourself even with the exhaustion that you're gonna have from trying to balance two things at the same point. That's the thing. We're thinking balance is at the same point. And balance doesn't always mean at the same point, because of course, we, like I said, we talked about focus earlier in this week, and you really can only focus on one thing at one time fully. And so because of that, then what does balance mean? Well, balance means that at times you are going to have one thing that may have more energy or more effort putting towards it versus another thing. And so that's how we have to learn just how to manage. So it's more of instead of balancing, it's more really just managing, because it's a constant shift. With balance, even y'all know this about those balance boards, y'all people be riding around or y'all kids be riding around. You have to have balance. How many of y'all done fell off in them things because you wasn't balanced? I know I tried one time and that was one time enough, and I'm like, that's not for me. No. But so think about that. So in life you have to balance. So if you lean too far one way, you're gonna fall, right? And that's what you don't want to do. You don't want things to fall, but at times things may fall. And if they're not as important, sometimes we have to just let them fall and take it as it is. If it crashes or whatever, then you just leave it there. You leave it there and you pick up what is the most important thing at that time, and you focus on that one thing that is more important. So that's where, really, chapter 8 is more talking about that, and just time, and how do you know how we manage our life, and how we need to actually even just to prioritize things even more so. They were speaking about a couple that had said, you know what, I can't wait till I retire. When we retire, both of us were gonna travel this world. And then the wife, she started to over the years, she started buying up dress patterns and material, just preparing for this retirement. And the husband, they were putting money away to save for this retirement. And then not that long, but right before she was about to retire, she ended up passing away from cancer. So she never got to experience the one goal that she was actually working hard all her life for. She had started to prepare for this one thing, but she was not able to actually live in it or to experience it. Not only that, the husband was so devastated, of course. He lost his life partner, and all the money that he had saved, he never went anywhere, because he felt guilty for not having his life partner there to enjoy something that they had planned to spend together and do together. So the thing is, sometimes in life, they said time waits for no one, right? So if it was something that they could have done, maybe they couldn't have gone all over the world. Maybe they could have just did one trip and just at least experience that one opportunity to be able to get out instead of having it all. So there's different ways that we are able to kind of manage life and figure out, how to really create what is balance. How does balance look? It may not be an equal thing. It may not be a full thing how we want to take the whole package or complete a whole package. But life is really, what I'm learning is kind of modular, right? We have to figure out how to create these different containers and these different packages, and be able to kind of apply them and enjoy them. You know, it's a give and take, and it's things that it's going to constantly change. That's the thing. It's not a one set plan, because sometimes you may take a few steps and like, okay, this is not going to work. Let's readjust and figure this out. But it's about figuring out now what is the most important and creating. They talk about these buckets, a work bucket and a play bucket, and that try to put in those things that matter the most, and then out of that, finding that one thing in that bucket to really focus on and really keep on going. That's really the one thing. Is all about the one thing. The one thing in everything is what we have to be able to do. So thank you all for joining. I'm not going to keep you all any longer. I enjoyed you all tonight. Drop your nuggets of what you took away from this. Your perspective. If you like, I don't agree with none of it, I want to hear from you. Whatever it is. So drop in and let me know what you all are thinking about this book, The One Thing. Go to the site, see the resources, The One Thing by Gary Keeler. And thank you all again, like I said, for joining me on video cliff notes for the entrepreneur. and I will be back tomorrow night. Um, Try to be here at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And of course, you know what? I said, you know what? I'm not going to stress. I'm going to communicate because sometimes things don't work out. It's life, right? But what I did, I said, I'm going to be responsible and send out a message and let everybody know, where am I? In case one person out here is looking for me. Anybody looking? Nobody looking. It's all right. If not, I entertain myself. So if I have to come up here and go on live to just to encourage myself, I'm gonna encourage myself. And if y'all want to go on for the ride, let's go. Let's do it. So thank y'all so much. Love you, and I'll see y'all again soon. All right. Video clip notes for the everyday entrepreneur. I'm your girl, Sane Bate Mitchell, Savvy Sane in these digital streets, out here rocking your tech and rocking your biz with confidence. That's what I do for you. Love you.